You've been told that manifesting requires complexity, that it demands stacks of journals, color-coded rituals, perfectly worded affirmations, or hours of visualization. And maybe part of you believed that because it sounded mystical, because it gave you the feeling that if only you performed the ritual correctly, the universe would finally unlock its vault. But pause with me here. Notice how heavy that feels. Notice how much pressure those methods place on your shoulders. You end up chasing, forcing, calculating, second-guessing every move. It becomes less about creation and more about desperation. That's why most people burn out or conclude manifestation doesn't work for them. They've been playing the game with the wrong rulebook. Shift with me into a different frame. Imagine the entire process as tuning a radio. You don't get music by wrestling with the dials. You get it by finding the right frequency. And when the dial slides into the exact spot, the noise vanishes. The music is crisp, clear, undeniable. This is the core of quantum manifestation. It is not about how much effort you throw at reality, but how precise your signal becomes. Here's the paradox. Simplicity makes people uncomfortable. They trust difficulty more than ease. The mind says, if it's this simple, why don't I already have it? That doubt pulls them back into complexity. They pile on more affirmations, more visualizations, more checklists. And yet, the quantum doesn't respond to the pile. It responds to the clarity beneath it. Think about how most people approach change. They try to drown out old patterns with noise. They chant wealth while broadcasting scarcity in their nervous system. They visualize love while carrying unworthiness in their chest. They affirm health while secretly expecting relapse. To the field, this mixed broadcast is static. And static never collapses into form. Try this. Soften the chase. Instead of adding another ritual, subtract one. Instead of rehearsing what you don't yet have, practice embodying how it feels to already be aligned. You don't need to declare abundance 100 times. You need to catch yourself when your body clenches at a bill and breathe until trust steadies the signal. You don't need to visualize a partner every night. You need to notice when your heart armors itself in fear and gently open it by 2 degrees. Notice the shift. Simplicity strips away performance. You stop trying to prove to the universe that you deserve what you want. You begin to live as if you're already entangled with it. Because you are. The field doesn't reward grind. It mirrors coherence. Zoom out for a moment. The most magnetic moments of your life didn't arrive after you forced them. They arrived when you were clear, open, available. You met the right person by accident. An idea clicked while you were relaxed. An opportunity showed up when you weren't even searching. What's the common thread? You weren't straining, you were tuned. Here's the paradox again. The simpler it gets, the stronger the results. But because simplicity feels almost too easy, most people skip it. They chase shiny techniques instead of stillness. They add layers instead of peeling them away. So let me plant a seed for you. What if you experimented with subtraction? What if, just for this week, you replaced the marathon of doing with the art of being? Each time you catch yourself forcing, ask, is this noise or signal? Each time you notice the grip of control, ask, what if I trusted the dial instead of wrestling the static? This is where the shift begins, in the refusal to overcomplicate, in the courage to accept that coherence, not control, is the magnet. Simplicity may not dazzle the mind, but it steadies the field. And when the field steadies, reality reshapes around you with less friction than you ever imagined. You're already beginning to sense the pattern that clarity beats complexity. Now let's step deeper into the quantum mechanics behind this truth. Because when you understand why simplicity works, your trust grows stronger. At the most fundamental level, reality is possibility. Not fixed, not rigid, but fluid waves of probability swirling all around you. Every outcome already exists in potential form. Love and loneliness, abundance and scarcity, ease and struggle. These possibilities don't compete with each other. They coexist in the quantum field, and they wait for something to select them. That something is the observer. And here's where most people misunderstand. They think the observer is just their conscious thoughts, the stories they say out loud. But in truth, the observer includes every layer of you, your subconscious beliefs, your nervous system signals, your emotional baseline. All of it together forms the lens that collapses one wave of possibility into your lived reality. Zoom out. Imagine a spotlight sweeping across a dark stage. The stage is infinite. Every prop, every set piece, every outcome is already there. But the audience only sees what the spotlight rests on. Your focus is that spotlight. Wherever it lingers, reality crystallizes. Here's the paradox. You might consciously aim the spotlight at abundance, yet your subconscious keeps dragging it back toward fear. You might affirm love in the mirror, yet your nervous system braces for rejection. You might visualize health, yet deep down, you're still identifying with illness. And because the subconscious observer runs the show most of the time, its hidden broadcast often overrides your conscious wish. Real-world check. Think of a friend who insists they want a stable relationship but always ends up in chaos. Or someone who swears they want wealth but unconsciously sabotages opportunities. It's not hypocrisy, it's coherence at a deeper level. The field isn't judging, it's mirroring the dominant broadcast. Try this. Instead of fighting with your subconscious, get curious about it. Notice what your body does when you declare an intention. Does it relax or tighten? Notice the emotions that surface when you visualize your future. Do you feel excitement or dread? These are not failures, they are signals. They reveal where your hidden spotlight is actually pointing. Breath check. Inhale slowly, exhale even slower. As you do, ask yourself, what possibility am I unconsciously observing right now? Is it lack? Is it fear? Is it waiting? Simply noticing shifts the pattern, because awareness itself is a new observation, and awareness begins collapsing new waves. Here's the invitation. Stop blaming yourself when your conscious intentions don't manifest. Instead, realize your subconscious is part of the observer effect. It's not your enemy. It's simply holding onto old scripts. Your job is not to shout louder affirmations. Your job is to retrain the spotlight. One breath, one choice, one moment of coherence at a time. Because the truth is this: the field doesn't care about the words you use. It doesn't care how many times you write an affirmation. It doesn't even care if you memorize the perfect visualization script. The field responds to your alignment. It responds to whether you're conscious and subconscious, your thoughts and your body, your words and your emotions are pointed in the same direction. And when they are, the spotlight grows brighter, the wave collapses faster, the possibility you once doubted begins solidifying into form, not because you forced it, but because you became the clear observer it needed to crystallize. So pause and ask, what possibility are you actually observing today? Not what you wish, not what you tell others, but what your whole system is tuned to. This awareness is not criticism, it's power. Because the moment you see it, you can begin to shift it. You've now seen how the observer effect shapes reality, not through brute force, but through coherence. Yet here's where most people get tangled. They fall into what I call the control trap. The control trap feels logical at first. You want something, so you try harder. You micromanage every detail. You check for results obsessively: bank account, phone notifications, health scans, social media likes. Each time you don't see evidence, panic flares, and you double down again. On the surface, it looks like diligence. Underneath, it's mistrust, and mistrust is static in the field. Here's the paradox. The more you grip, the weaker your signal becomes. Imagine clenching your fist around water. The tighter you squeeze, the less remains. The same principle applies here. Your need to control doesn't magnetize outcomes, it repels them, because control communicates scarcity. It tells the field, I don't trust this is coming unless I force it. And the field mirrors that vibration of doubt back to you. Real-world check. Think of the person refreshing their email 10 times an hour, desperate for a reply. Or the partner obsessing over every message, trying to decode hidden meanings. Or the entrepreneur who launches with fear and then spirals when results don't appear instantly. In each case, the energy is the same: clinging, controlling, contracting, and what they receive is more waiting, more uncertainty, more resistance. Try this. Open your hand, literally, right now. Notice the difference between a white-knuckle grip and a relaxed palm. That physical shift is a metaphor for manifestation. An open hand signals trust. A clenched fist signals fear. Which one do you think the field reflects more clearly? Here's the paradox again. Surrender feels like giving up, but in the quantum, surrender is precision. Letting go doesn't mean doing nothing. It means no longer scattering your signal with constant checking, doubting, and pushing. It means aligning once, then trusting the frequency to hold. Breath check. Inhale deeply, hold for a beat, then exhale slowly, with the intention of loosening your grip. Each breath is practice in releasing control, in remembering that clarity, not control, collapses waves into reality. Notice, when you grip, your nervous system floods with stress, cortisol spikes, your heart rate quickens, your breath shortens. This is not coherence, it's chaos, and chaos confuses the field. The more you can regulate your state through breath, movement, grounding, the more you become a steady broadcast. Zoom out. Life's most effortless arrivals never came when you were micromanaging. They came when you were relaxed, trusting, doing just enough, but not clinging to the outcome. That job offer that came unexpectedly, that friendship that blossomed without strategy, that creative idea that flowed when you weren't pushing. These were open-hand moments, so ask yourself, where are you gripping today? Where are you over-monitoring, over-managing, over-forcing? Can you loosen your grip by even 10%? Try this simple experiment. Pick one desire you've been holding too tightly, write it down, then commit for the next 7 days not to check for evidence, not once. Instead, each time the urge arises, breathe, smile, and remind yourself, the signal is sent. My only job is coherence. Because here's the truth, the field doesn't reward control, it rewards clarity. And clarity comes not from trying harder, but from relaxing into trust. When you step out of the control trap, you stop broadcasting fear, disguised as effort. You begin broadcasting alignment, disguised as ease. And that's the moment the field can finally mirror back what you've been chasing all along. So pause here and ask, what would it feel like to live more with open hands than clenched fists? That question alone could shift your entire trajectory. Up until now, you've seen that gripping blocks, that clarity tunes, and that the observer is more than just thoughts. Now we step into the heart of the matter, the coherence stack. Think of your system like a band. Your thoughts are one instrument, your emotions another, your actions a third. If each plays a different tune, the result is dissonance. It doesn't matter how loudly the trumpet of thought blares affirmations, if the drums of your emotions pound fear and the guitar of your actions strums contradiction. The field hears noise, not music. But when those instruments align, when thought, emotion, and action play the same melody, that's coherence. And coherence is what collapses possibility into form with elegance and speed. Here's the paradox. Most manifestation teachings focus on just one instrument. They tell you to think positive, or to feel the emotion of already having it, or to act as if. But rarely do they show you how to weave all three into one unified signal. Without integration, you end up with static. Notice this. Your brain may declare, I am safe, but your body still trembles. Your mouth may speak abundance, but your posture collapses inward. Your vision board may scream love, but your daily choices close the heart. Each layer sends a different message, and the field mirrors the confusion. Try this experiment. Take a single intention, let's say abundance. Think the thought, I have more than enough. Now scan your body. Do your shoulders tense? Does your breath shallow? If so, don't ignore it. That tension is part of your broadcast. Next, bring in the emotional layer. Can you cultivate even a small spark of gratitude, of sufficiency, right now? Feel it in your chest. Then match your action, maybe by giving your full presence to a conversation, or by paying one bill with a sense of honor rather than resentment. Suddenly, thought, emotion, and action align. That's coherence. Breath check. Inhale slowly into the heart. Exhale through the belly. As you breathe, imagine your mind, heart, and body syncing like instruments tuning before a performance. When they strike harmony, the resonance is unmistakable. Science supports this. The electromagnetic field of the heart radiates stronger than the brain's. When your heart and brain are in sync, you project a unified, powerful signal. When they're out of sync, the broadcast weakens. This is why pure mental manifestation rarely sticks. The heart isn't enrolled. Zoom out. Imagine coherence as a stack of aligned layers, thoughts at the top, emotions in the middle, actions at the base. When stacked neatly, the signal pierces through noise like a lighthouse beam in fog. When scattered, the beam diffuses, barely reaching the shore. Here's the invitation. Stop overemphasizing one layer at the expense of others. Instead, practice weaving them together daily. Ask, do my thoughts, emotions, and actions tell the same story? If not, which layer can I gently bring into alignment right now? Notice the power in that question. It doesn't demand perfection. It simply invites small adjustments until the instruments harmonize, and even brief moments of coherence create ripples that reach further than hours of static. So pause with this reflection. What would your life look like if every layer, mind, heart, body, played the same melody? That coherence is not just theory, it's the lever that moves the quantum from possibility to reality. You now see that coherence is not just an idea, it's a lived state where thought, emotion, and action form a unified signal. But there's another layer you can't ignore, the instrument you're using to broadcast that signal your body. Think of your body as the transmitter tower. Even if your intention is clear, if the tower is shaky, distorted, or overloaded, the broadcast gets scrambled. This is why regulating your state is the hidden key to manifestation. Without a regulated nervous system, alignment collapses under pressure. Notice how your body behaves under stress. Shoulders tighten, breath shortens, jaw clenches. Your system broadcasts survival, and survival signals don't pull in abundance, love, or creativity. They pull in more survival scenarios because the field mirrors what you are, not what you say. Here's the paradox. Most people try to manifest on top of dysregulation. They stack affirmations on anxiety. They pile visualization over exhaustion. They chant prosperity while their body screams panic. It doesn't work, not because they're broken, but because the broadcast is scrambled. Real-world check. Imagine trying to play a symphony on a guitar with broken strings. No matter how talented the musician, the music will distort. Your body is the same. If the instrument is frayed, the song of coherence won't ring true. Try this simple reset. Pause and take a breath that's longer on the exhale than on the inhale. Inhale for a slow count of 4, exhale for a count of 6. This signals safety to your nervous system. Safety steadies the tower. Safety sharpens the signal. Breath check. As you read this, try it. Inhale gently, exhale slower. Notice the shift not in thought, but in your body's baseline. That shift is coherence in real time. Zoom out. Manifestation isn't about efforting your way into a new life. It's about becoming the steady instrument that broadcasts a coherent signal long enough for the field to respond. Regulation is what gives you stamina. Without it, you wobble back into fear every time reality tests you. Here's the invitation. Build micro practices into your day that keep your instrument tuned. A posture reset when you slump. A soft gaze at the horizon to interrupt tunnel vision. A conscious breath when your chest tightens. A hand on your heart when old fear surfaces. None of these take more than 30 seconds, but each restores signal clarity. Notice how subtle this island. It's not about perfection, it's about gentle returns, again and again. Every time you bring your body back into safety, you re-enter coherence. And the more often you return, the more your baseline shifts. Think of it like tuning a guitar before each song. Small adjustments, constant recalibration. You don't expect one tuning to last forever. You tune, you play, you tune again. Your body works the same way. Regulation isn't a one-time ritual. It's the daily maintenance of your instrument. Here's the paradox one more time. Regulation feels too ordinary, so people dismiss it. They'd rather chase the flashy ritual than take a breath. Yet the breath is the bridge. The breath is the switch that flips you from static to signal. So ask yourself, how would your life change if you treated your body as sacred broadcasting equipment? What would happen if you saw every tight jaw, every shallow breath, not as failure, but as an invitation to retune? Because here's the truth, the field is always listening. And when your instrument hums in safety, steadiness, and coherence, the field doesn't just hear you, it resonates with you. That resonance is what bends reality. By now, you've learned to tune your instrument, to regulate your state, and to bring thought, emotion, and action into one clear melody. But here's the next layer, the one that separates temporary wins from lasting transformation. Identity before evidence. Most people approach manifestation like a transaction. When I see it, then I'll believe it. When I get the raise, then I'll feel abundant. When love arrives, then I'll open my heart. But the quantum doesn't work on transactions, it works on resonance. And resonance flows from who you are being, not from what you're waiting to see. Here's the paradox. The version of you that keeps waiting for evidence stays trapped in the timeline of waiting. The more you watch the clock, the longer the arrival feels. But the moment you choose to become the version of yourself who already lives that timeline, the field shifts. Imagine tuning a radio. You don't demand the station prove its broadcasting before you turn the dial. You tune first, then the music plays. Identity is the dial, evidence is the music. Try this. Ask yourself, what would the version of me who already has this do today? Not tomorrow, not when the outcome shows up today. Would they carry themselves differently, speak with more ease, make choices from trust instead of fear? One micro-action from that place tunes you into the identity, and once you embody the identity, the field collapses the evidence. Real-world check. Think of athletes who train like champions before they ever win, or artists who live as creators long before recognition arrives. Their identity precedes the evidence. The results eventually catch up, not because they forced them, but because they already were that version. Breath check. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture a version of you already living the life you desire. Feel how they breathe. Notice their posture. Sense the calm or joy in their body. Then, as you open your eyes, bring one piece of that into this moment. That's identity in action, small but immediate. Zoom out. Identity. First manifestation is not pretending. It's not faking it until you make it. It's aligning with the timeline you've already chosen in the field and letting your system catch up. It's not acting as though, it's being as island. Here's the invitation. Start building identity anchors. A word you repeat that signals who you're becoming. A piece of clothing that reminds you of your future self. A habit, however small, that embodies your chosen timeline. Each anchor tells the field, this is who I am now. Notice this. The quantum field is precise. If you send the signal, I will be abundant someday, the field mirrors back the timeline of someday. If you send, I am abundant now, and your system supports it with aligned breath, posture, and choices. The field collapses the now version faster. So here's the question that shifts everything. Who are you willing to be before evidence arrives? Because the field doesn't wait for proof, it waits for coherence. And identity embodied, lived, expressed, is coherence. And that's where the real magnetism begins. You've stepped into the practice of identity first living, embodying who you choose to be before evidence arrives. But here comes the obstacle that derails so many. Emotions. Most teachings frame manifestation as a constant state of bliss, as if you must feel good every second to attract good things. That illusion sets people up for failure. Here's the truth. You will wobble. You will doubt. You will wake up some mornings with fear whispering louder than faith. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. Emotional wobble is not the problem. Bypassing it island. Notice this pattern. People try to paper over their fear with forced positivity. They plaster affirmations over grief. They smile while their body screams tension. They pretend they're in trust while anxiety thrums in the background. And the field doesn't fall for it, because the field doesn't mirror your mask. It mirrors your frequency. Here's the paradox. You don't have to feel good all the time. You only need the skill of returning. Emotional fluency means welcoming your feelings without letting them drive your destiny. It's not about erasing fear. It's about noticing it, naming it, and choosing again. Try this. When an uncomfortable emotion rises, pause. Say out loud or silently if needed, "This is fear," or "This is doubt," or "This is anger." Naming an emotion loosens its grip. Then, take a slow breath and ask, what would the version of me aligned with my chosen timeline do with this feeling? Sometimes the answer is to rest. Sometimes it's to move your body. Sometimes it's to reach for gratitude. The point isn't to erase the feeling. The point is to guide your system back toward coherence. Real-world check. Think of a surfer. They don't expect the ocean to stay flat. They expect waves. Their skill isn't in avoiding waves, but in riding them. Emotional fluency is the same. You learn to ride without drowning, to fall without quitting, to wobble and still return to balance. Breath check. Inhale deeply. Exhale with a sigh. Notice how even one conscious breath shifts your emotional state. That's all it takes. Sometimes a small return to coherence. Zoom out. When you stop bypassing your emotions, you stop living in pretense. You become authentic. Authenticity carries a vibration of its own. The field responds to that wholeness. Because coherence isn't about perfection, it's about integration. Here's the invitation. Start a practice of emotional check-ins. 3 times a day, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Write it down or simply name it. Then ask, does this feeling align with the timeline I've chosen? If yes, expand it. If no, gently guide yourself back without judgment. Notice this. The power isn't in never falling. The power is in returning. And every return strengthens your baseline. You become less reactive, more stable, more magnetic. So here's the shift. Manifestation isn't about plastering over your humanity. It's about weaving it into coherence. It's about feeling real, then returning to alignment. And the more fluent you become in this practice, the faster your chosen reality crystallizes. You've begun to see that emotions don't need bypassing, they need integration. Now it's time to step into a deeper layer of the observer, the subconscious. Because while your conscious mind sets intentions, it's your hidden broadcasts that often decide which timeline solidifies. Here's the paradox. Your subconscious runs most of your life. Habits, beliefs, automatic reactions. You may consciously declare abundance, but if your subconscious hums with, "I'm not enough," that's the frequency the field receives. It doesn't matter how polished the vision board looks, the hidden script wins. Notice this in your own life. Ever set a goal only to sabotage it? Ever push toward love while secretly expecting rejection? Ever call in success but find yourself procrastinating at the final step? That isn't laziness or weakness, it's a subconscious program looping in the background. Zoom out. Think of your subconscious like the bass line in a song. You don't always hear it directly, but it sets the tone. If the bass is off, the whole song feels wrong. Likewise, if your subconscious carries fear, doubt, or scarcity, the entire signal wobbles, even if your conscious melody is clear. So how do you rewrite the hidden broadcast? Not through force, but through steady, subtle inputs that retrain the system. Try this. Evening priming. Before bed, your brain shifts into theta state, a fertile ground for suggestion. Spend 2 minutes repeating a gentle phrase like, "I am safe, I am enough, I am already aligned." Not shouted, but whispered with calm. Let your body feel it. Morning choice. Upon waking, before checking your phone, place a hand on your heart and ask, "What frequency am I tuning into today?" Then breathe into that word trust, ease, love, and let it set your tone. Environnement. Surround yourself with reminders of who you are becoming. A sticky note on the mirror, a song that anchors calm, an object that symbolizes abundance. Each cue nudges the subconscious toward a new baseline. Gentle scripting. Instead of long, forced affirmations, write short, believable sentences that match your chosen identity. For example, "I'm learning to feel safe with money," or "I'm practicing openness in love." The subconscious accepts what feels genuine. Breath check. Inhale, exhale slowly, and imagine exhaling one old script. "I'm not ready. It's too hard," out of your body. Then breathe in a new script with clarity. Here's the invitation. Stop fighting your subconscious. Befriend it. It's not your enemy, it's your child. Repeating old lessons until you teach it new ones. The more gently you retrain it, the faster it aligns. Real-world check. Think of someone who constantly says, "I'm unlucky." Life seems to confirm it again and again, not because fate is cruel, but because their subconscious broadcast selects timelines that match the script. When they shift to, "I'm learning to welcome opportunities," even that small reframe begins opening new doors. Notice this, the subconscious always listens, especially to repetition, emotion, and environment. That's why consistent micro-practices matter more than occasional dramatic rituals. You don't need to overhaul everything at once. You need to feed your system steady evidence of safety and possibility. Here's the paradox again. The subconscious doesn't change through efforting harder. It changes through consistent, gentle repatterning. And when your hidden broadcast finally matches your conscious desire, the field hears one clear, powerful signal. So ask yourself, what script have I been unconsciously repeating? And what new script am I ready to broadcast instead? The answer to that question may be the exact shift the field has been waiting for. You've learned how to rewrite your hidden broadcast to align your subconscious with your conscious intent. But there's another influence most people overlook: the environment you swim in and the company you keep. Because coherence is not only internal, it's contagious. Here's the paradox. You can practice alignment daily, but if you immerse yourself in chaos, criticism, or constant scarcity talk, your signal weakens. Like a finely tuned instrument thrown into a noisy room, your clarity gets drowned out. The field doesn't just respond to you, it responds to the resonance you're surrounded by. Notice this. Humans are social, energetic beings. We co-regulate without realizing it. Sit with someone anxious, and your breath shortens. Spend time with someone grounded, and your body relaxes. Your nervous system entrains to the signals around you. This means your community, both physical and digital, subtly shapes the frequency you carry into the field. Zoom out. Think of your environment as a tuning fork. Strike one fork, and another nearby begins to vibrate at the same frequency. Surround yourself with fear, gossip, or drama, and your system picks up that vibration. Surround yourself with calm, trust, or vision, and you resonate higher without extra effort. Try this. Curate your inputs. Audit your news, your feeds, your conversations. Ask, does this content amplify coherence or static? Replace one draining input with one nourishing input each week. Over time, your whole field shifts. Breath check. Inhale slowly. On the exhale, imagine clearing noise from your space. Old clutter, outdated voices, digital distractions. See your environment quieting, leaving only what reflects your chosen timeline. Here's the invitation. Design a quiet signal room in your life. It doesn't need to be an actual room. It could be a morning ritual, a walk in nature, a playlist, or a digital detox hour. A pocket of time where the noise of others can't reach you and your signal strengthens. Real-world check. Think of someone who joined a community of people practicing growth. Their progress accelerated, not because they suddenly worked harder, but because they were swimming in coherence. Their environment reinforced the timeline they chose, and the field responded. Notice this. Coherence grows easier when it's shared. When you engage with people who reflect your chosen identity, the field amplifies the broadcast. That's why support groups, masterminds, faith circles, and intentional friendships accelerate transformation. They provide collective resonance. Here's the paradox again. People often cling to environments that drain them out of habit or loyalty. Yet staying entangled in static keeps your signal scrambled. Sometimes the boldest act of manifestation is curating your circle, not chanting another affirmation. So ask yourself, who or what in your environment strengthens my signal? Who or what scrambles it? What's one adjustment I can make this week to protect my coherence? Because here's the truth. You don't manifest in isolation. The field hears not just your signal, but the symphony you're a part of. Choose your symphony wisely, and the resonance will carry you further than effort ever could. You've walked through clarity, coherence, regulation, identity, emotional fluency, subconscious rewiring, and the influence of community. Now comes the bridge between knowledge and embodiment. Practice. Because the field doesn't respond to what you know, it responds to what you live. Here's the paradox. People often consume endless content on manifestation, but rarely apply it consistently. They wait for the perfect system or a grand ritual, when in reality, the most powerful shift comes from simple, repeatable actions done daily. That's why I call this next step the 7-day protocol, a living experiment that lets you test coherence in your own field. Day 1 begins with awareness. In the morning, before touching your phone, place a hand on your heart and ask, what frequency am I tuning into today? Choose one word: trust, ease, love, flow. Carry that word like a compass. Day 2 focuses on breath. 3 times during the day, pause and exhale longer than you inhale. This tells your nervous system, I am safe. Safety steadies the instrument. Coherence begins to hum. Day 3 brings identity into play. Ask, what would the version of me who already has it do right now? Then take one micro action. It could be as small as standing taller, sending a kind message, or paying a bill with gratitude. Small choices anchor big timelines. Day 4 invites emotional fluency. When a wobble arises, name it, this is fear, or this is doubt. Breathe once, then choose again. Instead of bypassing, you practice returning. Day 5 moves into subconscious repatterning. Before sleep, whisper a gentle phrase. I am enough. I am aligned. Let the words land not in your head, but in your body. Drift off with a new script playing softly in the background. Day 6 shifts focus to environment. Declutter one space, silence one draining input, or choose one conversation that lifts you higher. Each environmental tweak clears static from your broadcast. Day 7 integrates all layers. Begin with breath. Choose your word. Take a micro action. Name an emotion. Rewrite a script. And sit in your curated environment for 5 minutes. Then reflect. How did my signal feel this week? Notice shifts not in results yet, but in resonance. Breath check. Inhale, as though you're drawing your chosen timeline closer. Exhale, as though you're releasing the grip of control. That rhythm alone can carry you through all 7 days. Here's the invitation. Don't treat this as a test you can fail. Treat it as an experiment you can learn from. Each day builds the muscle of coherence. Each wobble teaches you where your signal still scatters. Each return strengthens your baseline. Real-world check. Imagine how you'd feel after 7 days of tuning. Not perfect, but steadier. Not flawless, but clearer. That steadiness alone changes what the field can mirror back. Because remember, the quantum doesn't wait for perfection. It responds to coherence, however brief, however growing. Notice this. 7 days is not the finish line. It's the entry point. Repeat the cycle as often as you like. Layer new practices, drop what doesn't serve, refine your rhythm. Over time, coherence becomes less of a practice and more of your nature. So ask yourself, are you willing to give 7 days to see how reality shifts when you stop complicating and start embodying? That choice, simple yet profound, could mark the moment your signal finally clears enough for the field to answer. Because, in the end, manifestation isn't a secret formula. It's not a trick. It's a practice of living as coherence. One breath, one choice, one day at a time.